seamless integration across field service management and how it can really impact the entire workflow. So here you go. My entire slide deck has drawn a lot of inspiration from the recently concluded sporting extravaganza that we've seen a couple of weeks back. And so I just continue, during our journey as a specialized solution provider and system integrator in field service, we have seen that a staggering 55% enterprises continue to grapple over either a broken integration flow, skewed integration influenced by divisional bias, or suboptimal workflows within service organization. So it's always not about replacement or overhaul, but about having a long-term view of an integrated workflow that can cater optimally to your business. Now, with more and more service organizations aiming to declare themselves as profit centers with P&L responsibilities, and as service promise expands, we feel only planned and measurable steps towards tighter seamless integration can make you stay on top of your business. So the objective of my presentation today is to share how seamless integration can transform your business, and organizational goals towards service excellence. Let's just do a very quick sense check, which I think could shake you up from the remarks we have gathered with various users of systems, as well as IT and operational heads. And being consumer of IT in various roles, we have our own interpretations to the essence of seamless integration. What you can see is all the bolds are basically the quotations or the statements that one makes along with the statement, along with the sentence that you're saying, right? So it's about disturbing an existing setup or specialized applications. How does it impact your integration? And it's about easier or less expensive integration with increasingly unimportant aspect of the overall decision, whether that impacts integration flow, or is it about mobility, which is becoming the increasing focus for all field service organizations, and how that's really affecting the change or the integration back end and in the front end, right? So what are those tracks of service optimization which comes into play? Here we go. We start with a customer in here who triggers, action, and as the relay starts, because it's all about the seamless relay, the handover of baton, which is quite decisive, you can see that the core functions like call center, dispatcher, parts control, inventory and warehouse, field engineer bits all come in together to perform the task. So it's just not about orchestrating across these core functions, but also subsystems associated with it. We'll see in the next slide about it. And this is about sales creating new orders into the system as well. So these are some of the standard tracks of the human entities associated with field service environment. And then of course you move into the human-machine interface, which increases the complexity all the more. So what are those complexities involved? As you look at very layered approach, you see different types of systems coming into play, like your CRM, your self-service portal, your IVR and ticket management. Then the field service system for the dispatcher. It could even be about an incident management system, which the dispatcher takes control of. Your ERP, which is an integral part of various systems and can tackle a broad range of activities, including field services, whether or not that is integral enough to handle the scope of field service in your business, right? And of course, I shouldn't forget about the orchestration group. As you see, that's the core group, and that's where you want to be, leaving your transactional functions intact so that everything stays in place, and you really want to live a good life, sitting beyond those confines of operation and seeing through that the field service is going fine and 100%. Yeah. So when it comes to integration, it is basically the spirit of integration, and it is captured as a relay race of effectively orchestrated human and system entities. So what you see in here is a typical workflow which we have achieved, and of course it involves various functions, subsections and subsystems, and of course you have to have a core build, and the access point should be seamless to have multiple touch points and multiple scenarios. So it's about just-in-time information. It's about scaling up and down as and when needed. So what are those key values which drive seamless integration? The dimension, as I was mentioning, only increases manifold when the same set of human and system entities interact with each other. Now we have seen 17% year-on-year decrease in mean time to repair and 18% increase in workforce productivity through real integrated, tightly integrated seamless systems. And it also increases your current performance in first-time fix by around 85%. Once again, the service margins coming in towards profitability and revenue factor in and account for the key value drivers. So the first bit is around the hard value drivers, which are measurable, which is tangible, and then of course you have the soft key value drivers, which is about maximizing your data integrity, what you need to do to basically have a seamless flow across your business functions. Yeah, we are all quite familiar with this picture. I suppose it just happened a week back when there was a relay happening with one of the blind heats, and this guide fell off, and that's what I consider to be a fragmented flow. So what are those challenges of a fragmented flow, and how can it impact your business? Redundancies between departments and gaps in communication is a chief concern today when you consider any integration coming into context. And then of course it's about deep dispersed data management with broken information chains, which once again account for around 20% of failures in seamless integration. And users continue to operate in a suboptimal and asynchronous environment. So definitely it's also about user harmonization. I'll just start upon this point as we roll along. So the result of a fragmented service workflow, the idle time increases by around 40%, your fleet utilization, your fuel cost, your daily mileage, everything gets affected, including your management information system and decision support system based data, which goes down and takes a dip by around 50%. And then you have the performance management and workforce utilization also taking a dip by a mean of 30%. So this is where we stop, and we just try and think as to what could be the essence of a seamless integration in field service. So before you begin, I think it's well worth capturing the before and the process scenario. So just give me a moment. The best test of a fragmented workflow basically happens when it's a peak period. And across 50 to 200 engineers, if that's the optimal base, we see that only 35% are able to dynamically reschedule and communicate new plans to the field automatically. So that's what the scenario you need to really take care of, while only 20% plan ahead to build relationships with outsourced suppliers in peak times. So what could be your integration process checklist? Choose an approach which is ideal and which relates to your business. Your test plan should be appropriate and in place. You should have sufficient environment and hardware available for testing, so your readiness for your infrastructure is key. And then of course you have, during integration, certain approaches to take, which is around what sort of support systems are available and whether it's dealing with specialized domains like logistics, maintenance, training, or is it around an area where subject matter expertise is further required to build in that seamless flow. So if we imagine the integration to be a seamless system, what are those 3 steps you should consider to really make it seamless? Define the business process. Once again, it comes in through a domain expertise and through a system integrator who can help you achieve that seamless workflow across systems. So you have to define your business process, use your interaction data, and turn your manual data into automated tasks. You have to define your integration layers as to how that will play in the entire workflow, whether or not it's a metadata layer, whether it's a business layer or a presentation layer. And then of course you move into the approach and the choice of an important and suitable approach. Once again, you talk about integration middleware, whether it's going to be service-oriented architecture, whether it's going to be an SQL to SQL architecture. So, as a system integrator who have successfully, implemented more than 25 odd enterprise field service environments across the globe, what we have seen is the usage of enterprise service bus in connection to any field service environment plays a very vital role. And as you're seeing, the before scenario is quite chaotic. It is dealing with multiple, many-to-many mapping, and is quite fluid, and it's not streamlined. So what we are doing is we are decoupling the point-to-point connections. We are allowing dynamic selection and substitution through matching for greater responsiveness, and then getting into the enterprise service bus, where it's becoming more of a linear flow and streamlining the systems across various functions and across various subsystems. This is a key example which we have achieved, and a strong one, where we have optimized the point of sale base terminal for one of our retail clients in North America. And here, as you see, it all happens right on the field. It's a last mile activity, and the customer walks out happy with the warranty contract in hand, where the support system gets triggered immediately, and you don't have to wait. There is no idle time. The latency is minimum, and it's also about the flexibility that you get as a customer about a pre-scheduled appointment. So there are some best practices that you have to keep in mind while considering a seamless integration as to what are those pods, which is a single point of truth when it comes to the collection of data, and what would be the unique output to us after the point of truth has been measured. And of course, your resource consolidation in terms of field engineer to dispatcher ratio is a very important aspect for any tight integration, and whether or not that is coming into play while you are choosing different systems. Then, of course, determine the sufficiency of data for MIS and DSS, which is also important, whether or not it's adequate, whether it's suboptimal, if it's overflowing or really overkilling. Then, of course, today with void, scenarios like void, preventive and predictive analysis, and other state-of-the-art models coming in, you have to think of a cross-functional system and data rationalization. And I have seen personally, while interacting with prospects, that they do consider that when it's about IT or any other modernization-based examples, but hardly when it considers line of business-based examples like field service. So my slides would get into more of user harmonization, and it's all about staying and really being in harmony when you're using a system. And the adoption is key in here. So basically you're talking about taking up a system and an environment which would not only take care of your field service as a role, but would also get into the larger gamut of functions, hitting across CRM, hitting across invoice and billing, or of finance-based stuff, plus your warehouse and inventory management. And each one of them, mind you, are specialized functions. So what do you need to do to lay the blueprint and really harmonize the users? You have to earmark the core user overlaps and data access points, whether or not there is any sort of function kicking in, which is of a joint interest between two cross divisions. Over example, I can tell you that many times parts do not interact with customer care, or inventory management is not interacting with invoice and billing, and that happens as a very crucial flaw in an integrated, seamlessly integrated system. And then, of course, you run mock tests and mock scenarios to measure the user adoption rate, which is crucial. Today, 45% cases fail, or live projects fail because of suboptimal user adoption. And of course, the data throughput is not measured in the right way using historical data plus your live data. So what is sustained user adoption, which is long-term, which is scalable, and which is foolproof, which will make your field service management solution the right one to have? So your users' business priorities should be key, and we should measure it at a very, very early stage, where we should maximize reach across all users, sit down, have a core group decided, and then form an integration flow. Minimize time for adoption of change, so you should actually realize what each system could take, because it could be a mix of legacy, it could be a mix of third-party systems and bespoke systems which come into play during integration. And then, of course, maintain business continuity, what sort of infrastructure you have ready in terms of disaster recovery, business continuity, in terms of failover, in terms of peak time, and because that's what is the tolerance limit and the test for any system. You minimize the cost by leveraging effective interventions, which is like more of manual handoffs during process points. So once again, it gets into business process flows, and the choice of the system is for the field service management system should be considering that how much of manual handoff is still present after we consider modular flow or a holistic flow. Users' ground realities, which is quite different from business priorities, and there's more of a bottoms-up approach where are the users drives how you get to them. Will users change over time, and what is the scalability factor? Will it change 30% in the next 12 months? Will it change cross-functionally, or would there be more of a consolidation and rationalization? All these come into play when you are doing an integration blueprint. And of course, the best practice is about measuring those blueprints on an iterative scale. Then we get down to the user differences. High frequency processes need attention. So of course, something which is repetitive and should not go through duplication should be measured. Stuff like your daily flow of tickets as a bulk scheduling process. If you're having, I would say repetitive tickets, try and categorize those tickets as one part of the workflow and keep the rest of the categories different so that they become unique categories in their own right. And how will the process change? So after you deploy a full-fledged end-to-end field service management system, what impact will it have on your integration flow? Is it going down to the users? Is it going down to just the system? Or is it touching across management, layers of users plus the system? And the end goal is, of course, sustained end-user adoption. And that's how the deployment should happen in terms of a best-case scenario. I haven't touched upon too much of numbers in here, but of course I'm free to give you more insight about our best success stories and enterprise success stories we have achieved so far. We are also looking into the modular plus end-to-end flow for field service management, touching upon various functions, including dispatching, scheduling, and it has got its own unique ways of dealing with business scenarios. So, any questions? Glad to sort of really throw a light on. Else, I'm available in stand number 515 for HCU floods. Thank you very much.